This works is array work. It says fill in the blanks on each array. And the array is the rectangle, or the rectangles. Oops, down there. It's asking us then to write two equations, one multiplication and one division. So again, with these arrays, we can look at it in both ways. We can do division and we can do multiplication. So we can do both to help us depending on what information we have. If we have the two factors, right? If we have something times something, we use that and split them up and split up things to figure out what the area is. If we're with division, then we start with the area and we go backwards from there. We have one of the sides, so we would do it that way. All right, so here we go. So here, I see one side here is 11, and this is 220. So I have to think to myself, what times 11 is 220? Well, 11 times 2 is 22. Oh, so that would be 20. 11 times 20 is 220. Here I have 2 and 11, so I already know that, so now I have to figure out the inside. Now I add these two together, and I have 242 is the area, and up here, this side full length is 22. So I have two problems here. I have 11 times 22 equals 242, and then I also have 242 divided by 11 equals 22. I guess you could have done also 242 divided by 22 equals 11. I think either way is fine. So let's move forward. So here I have 3 and 3.5. So I know that this side here is going to be 3.5. So maybe I'll just dictate that now. Oops. I'm never very good at making that sign for whatever reason. That's 3.5. Maybe I'll zoom in here. Sorry about that. All right. So that's 3.5, and this is 2.5. Now, this is 3 by 2.5, this area here. So 3 sets of 2.5. 3 sets of 2 is 6. 3 sets of a half is 1.5. 6 plus 1.5 is 7.5. And here I have half by 2.5. So again, this line here is the same as this line here. That's 2.5. So I have half of 2.5, which would be 1 and 1/4, because half of 2 is 1, and half of a half is 1/4. So that means this whole area here is 7.5 plus 1 and 1/4. I know that a half plus a fourth is not more than 1, so I can do 7 plus 1 first is 8, and then 1/2 plus 1/4. So over here, I can do 1/2 plus 1/4. I need to change these to fourths, so I have 2/4 plus 1/4 equals 3/4. So that would be 8 and 3/4. So my multiplication is again my sides. So I have 3 and 1/2 times 2 and 1/2 equals, where was that? 8 and 3/4. From here, I can make it the division, so I start with my answer, 8 and 3/4, or the area. And I'm going to divide it by one of my sides. So I can divide it by 2.5, and that's going to give me 3.5. Or I can divide it by 3.5, and that's going to give me 2.5. And so I just like to keep it consistent. I'll usually probably pick the left-hand side. All right, number 3. Here we have, well, that's the other thing I should think about too. Here, if there's no break in the line, we know this is the whole thing. And if there is a break, we know that we need to add these two things together. So here they're breaking up both numbers. So I have 2.5 by 2.5. So I can actually just fill that out now. All right, so we're going to find out what 2.5 times 2.5 is using the array model. Okay, so again, I've broken that up to 2.5 times 2.5. And so again, you have to understand the geometry of this, and that we can use this sides, 2 and 2, to find out the area here. Here it's going to be 1/2 and 2 to find the area here. Here is 2 and 1/2, and this one is 1/2 by 1/2, or half of a half. So 2 by 2, that's 4. 2 by a half, or half of 2, is 1. Half of 2 is 1, and half of a half is 1/4. So we add all that together. 4 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1/4 is going to give me 6 and 1/4. So again, I can do 6 and 1/4 divided by 2.5 equals 2.5. So there'd be only one correct answer here. All right, last one. Here we have 30 and something, and then one number here So 330 divided by 30 is something. So something times 30. Something 30 times 10 is 300, and then another 30. So that's going to be 11 again. And something times 11 is 33. That'd be 3. So now I have 33 by 11. Oops, I went against my pattern there. 11 by 33, and that's going to equal 330 plus 33. 363, and then we can say 363 divided by 11 equals 33. All right, again, if that was a struggle for you, what parts of the struggle? Okay, what pieces of it? Don't say the whole thing. Really think about it. Where was your thinking not aligned with mine? Was it a calculation problem? If it's a calculation problem, it means you need to do just more calculations. So ask the question if you have problems. I'll put. Maybe there'll be a form there, and you can ask for specific help with this standard. So you're saying, Mr. Light, I'm having this and this and this problem. Okay? All right, thanks.